So good evening, everyone. We are the Spirit Center Chico Xavier in Portland, and we welcome. This week is the first Thursday of the month. So, as always, our lecture is in English. What we do is that we choose one chapter of one of the books from the collection Living Spring, and that was psychographed by Chico Xavier and written by Emmanuel. And tonight, the chapter that we are going to study is chapter 43, named Language. But before we start, I just want to remind everyone that our center, our Spirit Center, is a group of only volunteers, so we welcome donations. All the information is on our website, chicoxavierportland.org. And our studies, they include Tuesdays and Thursdays, as well as as well as Sundays for the kids. Before we start, let's close our eyes and take a deep breath and connect with our higher self, forgetting our concerns, our problems, leaving everything that happened during our day in the past, and making sure that we are here present, knowing that we are surrounded by celestial beings that are around us to help us feel better, to heal us. At the end of this lecture, we're going to have the Passes, which is a bio energy that aims to balance all the cells in our bodies and make us feel renewed, stronger, and in a peaceful mindset. So we thank all the good spirits that are here with us for the opportunity of learning a little bit more about the teachings of the gospel and reflecting how we can bring those teachings into our day-to-day lives. Amen. So the chapter today, it comes from the letter from Paul to Titus, and it's the chapter 2, verse 8. And it says, wholesome and blameless language, so that our adversaries may be ashamed, having nothing bad to say about us. This is very much aligned to what we were learning from the Gospel according to Spiritism, chapter 12, talking about our enemies. But in this case, Paul wrote this letter to Titus, giving them guidance on how to behave, how to live in society at that time. So for the elder, for the widow, for the children, to treat each other with respect, with love, with justice. And that's what Emmanuel was going to talk a little bit about with us. It is through their language, and by language, I want you to understand that's not the idiom that we speak. It's not English or Portuguese. The language is really the words, the choice of words that we have, that people either help or harm themselves. So starting with our words, the choice of words, he's saying that we can harm ourselves. We know that we can harm others. We all been there, done that, felt hurt or harmed. But we are harming ourselves above all. Even when our soul is fogged over with problems, it is not advisable for our speech to be cloudy or imbalanced toward others. this third paragraph, I thought that was amazing. We all have our enigmas. We all have our challenges, our necessities, our suffering. And it's not right to increase our neighbor's afflictions with the burden of our own. And how many times do we do that? We vomit all of our problems in some of our friends or our parents, expecting them to basically deal with it when it's our responsibility to take care of that, not knowing what is going on inside that person's heart. Because from just looking from outside, we cannot say, we cannot tell. How many of us basically hide behind our smile, our happy face, a deep sorrow? Maybe we are mourning something that happened to us that need to be helped. But somehow we always think that our pain is bigger than everybody else's, right? Complaining openly causes discouragement. Bitter words are like whipping. The defamer's remark confuses. By criticizing people when they err, when they make mistakes, we are keeping the truth away from us. By using demeaning words, we repel the blessings of love that would fill us with the joy of living. Let us have the courage needed to eliminate by ourselves the expressions of our uncontrolled sentiments and desires. And I thought it was very interesting that he says courage. Let's have the courage to change that. The habits that are ingrained in our deeper beings, that we keep making the same mistakes over and over again. Speech is the channel of self. So when I talk, I'm basically showing who I am. Through the outlet of the tongue, our passions may explode or our virtues may be spread. Every time we express the vocabulary that characterizes us, we emit energies that may destroy or build, that ruin or restore, that hurt or soothe. In our opinion, language is comprised of three essential elements: expression, manner of speaking, and tone of voice. And we're going to talk a little bit about that. If we do not make our phrasing clear, if we do not purify the manner in which we speak, and if we do not discipline our voice according to the situation, we are susceptible of missing out the best opportunities of self-improvement, understanding, and spiritual growth. Sometimes that difficult situation, that challenge situations, is exactly what we need in terms of lesson, in terms of growth opportunity. And by just reacting instead of just thinking, we're missing that opportunity of growth. Paul of Tarsus provides the appropriate recipe to students of the gospel. One's language should be neither too sweet nor too bitter, neither too mild, which would drive trust away, nor too harsh or bruising, which would ruin affinity. Instead, we should use wholesome and blameless language, so our adversaries may be ashamed, having nothing bad to say about us. So Emmanuel, one more time, kind of forgets that small combination of words and transforms into a whole chapter, making us reflect in terms of the power of language. When we think in terms of Jesus, we need to remember that he used his words and his actions. He didn't write anything. Nevertheless, the impact of his words were so deep, so important, that we still see the seeds of everything that he taught reaching us 2,000 years after he left this planet. So Emmanuel in this chapter wants to call out the importance of the choice of words that we use every day on a day-to-day basis. That they are extremely powerful tools that can shape the thoughts of our kids, can change the quality of our relations, can influence our emotions, that can turn behaviors around. So, with our words, we can inspire, we can heal, we can give hope, or we can divide, we can cause fear, we can discourage people. And I thought that this was so timely, thinking that we just went through a very painful election journey here in the United States. Today is November the 7th, 2024. And we see a country that is completely divided, a country that is deep in fear, in hate, forgetting that we are all sons and daughters of the same Father, that we may use all the channels of social media that are around us to hurt other people instead of healing on each other. So the impact of our words, they extend both outward, who we're speaking to, but mostly inward, affecting how our emotional state and mindset is. So we may think that we are only hurting others by blaming, by accusing, by showing our anger. But in fact, we are turning ourselves into sickness, into some type of illness in a moment that the society is going through the depth of mental health. So, what is the choice that we're making? I went back to the Old Testament, looking at the power of words. And as I was preparing this class, I decided to do some research in terms of, what words really mean, right? Besides asking AI, what would come up? I mean, there's also, God used his word and created light, and then kind of a shows, right, on kind of the creation of the planet, the universe, the importance of the word, right? But in Proverbs 12:6, it said, the words of the wicked are to lie in wait for blood, but the mouth of the upright shall deliver them. So we see that we are creating good or bad just by saying, just by using what we say. He's showing the impact that we may have in other people's lives. And Emmanuel, in one of his books, The Thought in Life, basically says that our life is like a mirror. It's going to reflect our thoughts, our words, our actions, that we will always find the result of our choices everywhere we go. And then Emmanuel continues, even when our soul is fogged over problems, it is not advisable for our speech to be cloudy or imbalanced toward others. I thought this is important because when somebody is rude to us, we need to remember that that person is not happy. That person is not in a happy place. Is not a happy trooper. Because a person who is happy do not hurt others. The person who is impatient, who shows anger, who use harsh words, are not living a good moment. But that is not an excuse to hurt other people, to use bad language per se. And then he says, it's not right to increase our neighbor's afflictions with the burden of our own. So even kind of just criticizing or gossiping or telling, our sufferings, we don't know how the other person is feeling. How many times do we ask, how are you doing today? How are you feeling today? How may I help you? But first we come and say, okay, this is about me. This story is all about me. And that has a name, which is selfishness. So selfishness is when we're only caring about ourselves. And I think that's today we live in a world that is surrounded by narcissists. That when we look at TikTok or Instagram, everybody wants to bring their ego higher, have more followers, more likes, even if we need to hurt others, even if we need to lie. But that's coming from a dark place. The Spirit's book says that the source of our suffering always comes from two folds. One is selfishness, and the other one is proud. So, if selfish people would perceive how profoundly lonely they would be just by the practice of just thinking about themselves, that when we practice love and fraternity with in cooperation with others, it's how we build our safe net. We live in society. Society is one of the divine laws. It's because we need to learn from each other. We need to help each other. We need to grow together. We say this because we always reap what we sow. We sow lemon seeds, we get a lemon tree. We sow apple seeds, we reap apples. So every little action, and I think this is important to know, from our thoughts, from our words, it gets engraved, recorded in our perispirit. I don't know if you guys knew that, but every little thing. And we basically bring it with us everywhere we go. And that's why sometimes when we are profoundly unhappy and think, oh, I want to go to a place because I need to this place, I want to go to Paris, or I want to go to the beach or to the mountains to feel happier. Does it help? Not really. Because we bring with us that weight, because that weight is in our soul. So the impact of negative words is both people we say, but also inside us. So complaining causes discouragement. This is Emmanuel. Bitter words are like whip. The defamer's remark confuses. Critics, when people make mistakes, we're basically avoiding or not showing them the light, the truth. Using demeaning words, we repel the blessings of love that would fill us with joy of living. So wherever these words are spoken aloud, or if they are part of our self-talk, so I look at the mirror and say, you're fat, you're ugly, you're getting old, you're so nasty, I don't love you. We are creating deep and lasting consequences that will go beyond the immediate conversation. This self-talk can hurt us more than everybody else. And how many times we are our worst enemies? And sometimes I would even ask, would we even tell anyone what we tell ourselves? Probably not. So why do we do that? So going from each one, so when we complain or we speak bitterly, we create this atmosphere of discouragement. And without realizing, we are hurting other people. And for those who have mediumship, when we get together with people who complain a lot, it's like they carry like a truckload of garbage. It's horrible because our thoughts, they not only have shapes, but they have smell. They come with a vibration. And that vibration fills the whole ambience. What about bitterness? And he called it like a whip. So it's such a harsh thing that inflicts pain. So when you think in terms of bitterness and our marriage, or bitterness with our kids, the wounds that we will create with our speech can linger maybe for years, maybe for a lifetime. Defamation, and this is so present today. Whether we intend to harm or just don't care, it damages the reputation, but also distorts the reality and changes the perception. And we know that depending on the searches that we have on Google, different people may find different answers to the same questions, which is crazy. So there are so many fake news, defamations, untrue stories going on that it's hard for one to know exactly what's the reality. So that's why he says it is confusing. And we should be part of the truth. We should be part of the people who do not damage other people's reputation. We don't know what that person goes through. We don't know if that's true. Oh, but so and so told me that. But did you see? Did you witness that? If not, how can I prove it? Criticizing. When we criticize other people's mistakes harshly, we obstruct our ability to see the situation clearly and compassionately, losing the touch with a more balanced understanding. So when we choose to criticize in a mean spirited way, we're basically shutting the door to happiness, to ourselves, and we do not know how that critic will reverberate inside that person's soul and carry on maybe through their lives. Continue, Emmanuel. By using demeaning words, we drive away blessing of love, joy, and peace. Again, our words are expressions of who we are, of what our hearts are filled of, our emotions, our sentiments, our speech. They draw the pictures about ourselves. So when I'm saying demeaning things about a person, about John or Mary or whoever, I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about myself. I'm showing the world who I am. So we need to start to learn how to control our emotions, even in a world that is so confused as we are living right now, so full of fear and anger. Otherwise, we will not be able to create a space filled with peace. So I would say that even if we feel that turbulence, let's turn the phone down. Let's stop looking at social media. Let's choose the people that we talk to for our own sake, as a preservation. Every time we express the vocabulary that characterizes, we emit energies that may destroy or build, ruin or restore, that hurt or soothe. So thinking that our words, they come with a vibration, with a set of energy. If I say, I love you, you get some type of energy. If I say, I hate you, it goes with a completely different energy. And when we do that, when we are in the middle of a fight, we may get heartburn, headache, diarrhea. When we are surrounded by people that we love, when we see the love of our lives for the first time, we may get butterflies in our stomach. So there is a physical reaction to the emotion that is connected to that word that we are using. And how that emotion will hit the person that I am meeting that word, I don't know. I do not control. But one thing that I can say is that we cannot take it back. The word that we say, there is the expression that I use. If I'm using vulgar words, trashy words, there is the manner that I'm speaking, with caring or with dismiss, and then my tone of voice. Actually, the majority of communication is not the word that I'm using, it's everything else. It's how I say it, the tone of voice that I use it, the vibration that I wrap those words around me. And I think that if we think about a moment in our lives, good and bad, we will realize that we may not remember what words the people use, but we will remember how the person made us feel. And that's the proof, the impact that the words they have on us. Everyone we meet or have a relation with, it's an opportunity to build a bridge. And in a moment right now, as spiritists, that's what we need to do. We should look for bridges and not walls. We should find ways to create love, trust, joy, hope in a moment that there are so many people suffering, that there are so many wars, there's so much hate. Hate because it's a different culture, because you come from a different country, because you have a different religion, because you speak a different different language. That's why we're here now. I think that the Romans were a great example with all the states, the areas, the people that they conquered, that everything was under the same umbrella as the Roman Empire. Independent, the language they spoke, the religion that they had. And if we grow that bigger, we will see that we can do the same with God. The idea determines the attitude and the word commands the actions. So this comes from a book from Emmanuel that is called Thought and Life from chapter 13. So the way that we talk to each other, mostly the members of our family, for us who have kids, us who were kids one day, the way that people talk to us, our parents talk to us, really had an impact on our lives. May erase our self-confidence if we heard you can do anything you want, you can achieve anything you put your mind to, or maybe the opposite. But we can change that. But the important thing is that the brains of children, they are very malleable and susceptible to our influence, to anyone, to an adult influence. So we should not look at the words as just in a simple manner of communication, but as very potent forces to shape people's lives, to change lives. I'm thinking about that speech from Churchill, the famous one, the blood, sweat, and tears, that really took a country that was demolished and filled with fear of the Nazis. And he was able to bring everybody together. So how can we do that? With the small group that we live, using our language to strive positivity, compassion, to foster healthier relationships and give us a stronger sense of self. So even if I need to look at the mirror and say, you're beautiful, I love you. How many times we say, I love my hands, I love my heart, I love my stomach, I love my lungs. How many times did you remember to think your lungs? We breathe so many times every day and we forget how wonderful they are because they function well. So the words we use, they will have emotional impact, they will have psychological and physical impacts, as we said. There is a self-perception and identity with us. Psychological, I put it 12, sorry. They shape relationships, they can influence our actions, decisions, they create social and cultural influence, and there's also the self-talk. So with emotional impact, we know that we can boost someone's self-esteem. With the psychological and physical effects, we know that harsh and critical words can lead to stress, to anxiety, to a physical response like changing our heartbeat or increasing our blood pressure, for example. With the perception of the identity, we can shape how people see others. And it's our responsibility to make sure that we do not use those critics and demeaning words to hurt other people. In terms of shaping relationships, we can build or break trust with the words that we use. Influencing actions and decisions, we can encourage people or not. We can create leaders or not. With our social and cultural influence, we can establish norms, beliefs, values in our community, in our small community. With the self-talk, the words that we say to ourselves can impact our health, our mental health, our physical health. It can bring us into anxiety, depression, but it can also make us sick, physically sick. So to wrap up tonight, I wanted to put some suggestions in terms of what we should do. First, think before we say something. Especially in arguments, when we are nervous, when we are irritated, because we may say something that we may regret later. And maybe our emotions are compromising our rational aspect, our rational side. Let's put ourselves on other person's shoes before dashing, before judging, before criticizing. Let's be more careful the way that we say something. Let's align what we are saying with our intention, because sometimes we want to have a good life, a peaceful house, but we keep fighting, criticizing each other. I want to have my kid to behave well, but the only thing that I highlight is everything that he does wrong. The same thing with my partner. And then, are we coming from a wholehearted place? And I love Brené Brown, and I think that kind of coming from a place of vulnerability and understanding that each one of us have had different experiences. It's important that unless we've been in the arena, as she says, we cannot judge. Withdraw if necessary. Say, okay, not a good time for me to talk right now. I'm gonna say something that I will regret later. Let's talk tomorrow. And go take a cold shower. Go for a walk the dog. Go to sleep. No, but shut your mouth. Remember that we cannot take what we say back. We cannot take back how we make people feel. So with that, we're gonna start our virtual passes, thinking about the power of our words, our faith. Spiritual passe or spiritual healing is a biofuel therapy where the celestial spirits provide us with positive energies, balancing our minds, our bodies, and help us through our healing journey. Remember that our thoughts are energy. Our health, our life, our emotions, they all begin with what we think. And if we open ourselves with faith to healing, we are creating an environment to be healed. So let's sit straight into our chairs with our hands laying our laps face up, knees, legs uncrossed. Taking a deep breath. And you can either follow what I'm saying or just mentally do the Lord's Prayer. Dear Jesus, we now ask for help. We know that in everything that we go through, we are never alone. That you are always with us, holding our hands, sending your messengers, our guardian angel, to take care of us. So today, we ask you to take care of us, our bodies, our minds, our families, our homes. You know our deepest sorrow, our worries, our challenges, all the vices that we still carry for maybe centuries, the bad habits that we need to change. Dear Jesus, help us in this journey of transformation. Transformation that starts with our thoughts, with the desire, the deep desire to become better people, a better version of ourselves. Give us strength, hope. Give us energy, courage to look inside and transform what needs to be transformed. May the opportunity of this incarnation bring us the results that we plan while still on this spiritual realm. Dear God, in this moment, we ask you to involve all of us, incarnated and disincarnated on this realm, in an atmosphere of peace, love, joy, gratitude. Gratitude for all the blessings, the invisible blessings that we receive every day. May we be thankful, praising our gratitude for our bodies, for our lives, for our families, for the opportunity of living at this moment, even when we are going through a hard time. We ask you to balance our chakras, to clean our minds, to fill our hearts with love. So we can spread this love with everyone around us. May they see the light, your light, through us, and the way that we think, the way that we talk, the way that we behave. Bless our waters, putting in our glasses everything that we need for our health, our whole health. And with that, we thank you for tonight. We ask you to please bring peace to this planet, to this country, to all peoples. May fraternity, respect, love be the ruler among ourselves. Thank you for our beautiful planet, for the beautiful skies, for the nature that surrounds us. And stay with us today and forever. Amen. So thank you very much for being with us tonight. And hope to see you next time. Have a good night.